Hello, everyone. It is so good to be here today on this gorgeous Friday. Let's see, today is May 12th here at the Gluten Free Adventurers Club, and I am just so excited to be with you here today. For those who do not know me, my name is Miri Pizann. I am a gluten-free coach, and I've been gluten-free for about a decade at this point. I remember what it was like in the early days when I was still trying to figure out where gluten was hiding. It felt like it was in everything. It felt like there was nothing that was safe to eat, and there certainly wasn't anything that tasted good. Forget about gluten-free bread, right? But in the decade of that time, I have learned so much, and I've learned how to eat safely and safe, sumptuous, delicious, yummy meals at home and out and about with friends and family. And I want you to be able to do that too. I think it is just a horrible thing if you are not able to eat good food all of the time because it is such an essential part of the human experience. So that's my goal. I want you to be able to eat safe and yummy, yummy, yummy food every day, all the time. That should be the standard, not the exception, right? So today I wanted to talk with you about something called meal planning. And I know that there are some of you out there already who know how to do meal planning. And there are some of you that never learned how to do this. And the reason I think it's important is because it takes a lot of stress off of your plate. And it feels like a little bit of work at the beginning because like I don't want to sit down and do this. But on the other hand, like you pack it into maybe 30 minutes at the beginning of your week, and then you don't have to think about meals for the rest of the time. You might have to cook them, or you can also do like freezer prep, something like that, but you don't have to sit there and have that whole, well, I don't know, what do you want to eat? I don't know, what do you want to eat? Like it's just done. You've got your plan, you follow the plan. And the really great thing about that too is that it prevents things like food spoilage, right? You already know exactly what you need. So you're not going to buy extra food that's just going to sit in the fridge and rot because you've got your plan. And like there are some people who can put it in their little diary or their weekly planner or whatever because that's where they're looking all the time, and there are some people who need to like stick it to the fridge. My mom was someone who like had the magnet, and every week the meal plan was on one side of the paper and her shopping list was on the other side of the paper. It was all in one place. We always knew where to look, and we didn't have to ask her, Mom, what's for dinner? We already knew because it was right there on the plan for the entire family to see. So the other so it's great. You don't have food going bad because you know exactly when and where and what you're going to be making. So you've already got exactly what you need, and you can skip that whole conversation of what do I feel like making. It's like you can even build it into your schedule if you need to, like, like as an introvert, I am very precious with my time and energy. So like I don't like last minute surprises because I didn't plan to have to spend energy talking to other people or something like that. So I love having a plan because that means that I know how much, okay, it's going to take me about this much time. It's going to take this much effort. And then my day is kind of built around knowing that already, if that makes sense to you. So if you're, oh, hey, okay, I see people are popping in. So please do leave a comment. Let me know that you're here. This is such a better experience when we're interactive and we can chat with each other. Okay. So yeah, like I like being able to know exactly what I'm going to be doing for the day. It just helps me kind of prepare. So with that in mind, um, Oh, and like the other benefit of that is that, you know, you already have all your ingredients on hand, so you're not making those last minute horrible runs to the grocery store. Don't let this overboil. I'll be right back, and make sure to pull it out of the oven. Like, you already know you're going to have it because you planned for it, right? So there's a lot of benefits to doing the meal plan. And bonus, right? If you're making plans for using something, for example, like a crock pot or an Instapot, but like the crock pot especially, you can actually prep your dinner the night before, have it sitting in the fridge, and then in the morning you pull it out of the fridge, you put it into the crock pot, turn it on, go to work or off to whatever business you have for the day. And when you get home, not only is your meal cooked already, but the house smells amazing. It's like, oh, like like one of those old cartoons where the wafts of scent come and carry you in through your nostrils. It is the most delightful feeling to come home and know that dinner's already done, and you know you're going to like it. You made it. You know what's in it. You know that it's going to be whatever your form of healthy and safe is. And it's kind of like future, past you is helping out future you. You know what I mean? So I just think that meal planning can be such a big help. And really, you just sit down, you write out your list, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and what you're going to have for dinner that day. That's it. And then, like, from that, if you need to, you can put lunches on there too. What are you going to have for lunch? What do you need? And then you just flip your paper over and write out all of the ingredients that you're going to need for those meals. Boom, done. And I mean, there are always, cost saving tricks and techniques that I talk about with my clients. There are ways to format things so that you're making the best use of your ingredients and stuff like that. But I mean, that's the basics of it. You just sit there and you write out, like, here's what breakfast, lunch, and dinner are going to look like. And I mean, like, for my family, everybody's breakfast is kind of on their own, but we generally have the same thing. So I keep the cereal stocked for my husband, and I keep plenty of eggs and toast on hand for me. And you know, breakfast for us is quite easy but necessary. And so it can be really, it can be whatever it is that you need it to be. And the idea is to save you time, to save you energy, and to save you money, right? Because as we all know, the gluten-free diet is not necessarily cheap. But there are ways that you can do things to save money and save yourself time and energy. All right, so let's see. So that's kind of everything that I have about the meal planning, but I did want to pull out, I've got a question from my mailbag. So, mailbag, my inbox at this point. That's such a holdover from back when the only way that we got mail was actual physical mail and it would come in bags. But anyway, so I've got an email here from Adrian, a question from Adrian. She says, there are so many gluten-free one-to-one flours. Which one is the best? And that is such a fantastic question, Adrian. Thank you so much for asking that. All right, one-to-one flours. And I think I touched on this a little bit last week or the week before also, but it was from a different angle. So let's take a look at exactly the whole thing about one-to-one gluten-free flours. Each brand is working to approximate the ratio of protein to starch when it comes to a one-to-one gluten-free flour, right? And they're trying to get it so that it will generally work in a mainstream recipe. But Each of them uses different starches and different binders. And the reason why starch can be an issue, like the kind of starch, are they heavy in the corn flour? Do they use potato starch? So, obviously, if you have a food allergy in addition to gluten or wheat, such as like there are a lot of people who can't have potatoes or corn or rice. So, you want to pay attention to what starches are in there. But in addition to, like there's also some people can't have tapioca, which is fairly new to me, but if that's something that you have to live with, I can see how that could be very challenging because all of those, the potato, the corn, the rice, the tapioca, all of those are frequently used in gluten-free cooking and baking. But the way that the starches act is different. And here's what I mean by that. If you think about making a pie filling, you frequently need to, like a fruit pie filling, like a blueberry pie or peach pie or whatever. You want the juices, like peach juice is very runny and drippy, and blueberry juice, it's juice, right? So when you're making a pie, you want to thicken those juices up so that the pie stays together so that you can actually eat it with a fork and not with a spoon. So you use starches to thicken things up, right? But one starch will leave your pie filling thick and cloudy, but you have to use more of it, but it's easier to find. Another starch will be crystal clear, but if you put it in the freezer, it'll fall apart and it'll turn runny and gooey and everything. And then there's another starch where you have to heat it up first in order to activate it, and then it will be sort of clear and it will hold its shape and it can go in the freezer. So, like, that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about. Different starches have different properties. So, when they're using these, and then there's also the binders, right? Oh gosh, binders. So there's xanthan gum, which is one that we should all be familiar with at this point. There's guar gum. Uh, More modern techniques that I have seen are using psyllium husk. And now there's another one beyond the psyllium husk called glucomannan. And all of these, they just kind of like gel things up and do the sticky part of gluten, right? Because if you've ever looked at like when somebody is making glutinous, like bread, mainstream bread dough made out of wheat, and you kind of pop open that dough ball, there's strands sticking and going every which way because it's very sticky. Gluten is very, very sticky. And the problem is that most of these other ones are, the starches and the proteins or whatever are not sticky. So we have to get something into like a bread or whatever that makes it more sticky, and that's where the binders come in. So like I said, we can use the xanthan gum or the guar gum, or but something to kind of give everything structure and hold it in place. And so all of these different one-to-one gluten-free flours, circling back to the initial question, they all use different ratios, they have different starches, and they have different binders. So my recommendation is the best one is the one that you can get easily because that's what you can use. And here's what I mean by that. Because they're all formulated slightly differently, they all work. That's why they've hit the shelves. But the people that know the formulation best are going to be the ones who developed it, right? So if you want to, if you have minimal access to a one-to-one flour, I highly recommend checking, like taking the one that's available that you can get your hands on easily and that's within your budget, and go to their website and look up their recipes and start working with those, because those recipes are designed to work with that flour. They will come out really well with that flour, right? And then once you kind of have mastery of that, you can start tweaking it. And then as you have an understanding, then you can graduate yourself into substituting it into one-to-one recipes at home. And maybe you realize like the taste is a little bit chalky because they use a lot of cornstarch, but we can balance that with putting something else in there, giving it a little bit more texture or whatever. So the best one is the one that you can get. And then you start working with it and figuring it out from there. Because as you work with it more, you will have a better understanding of what you need to do to make it work within your life. And if you have a bunch of different options at your grocery store, some of us are very lucky to be able to say that they have like 5 or 6 different options. I know that my grocery store carries a whole bunch. Try them all. Figure out which one works best for you and then stick with that. So, Adrienne, I hope this is helpful to you and answers your question. And that is everything that I have for you today. So, thank you so much for joining me on this gorgeous Friday afternoon. I hope that you are having a fabulous day and have a wonderful weekend. Mother's Day is coming up. So, blessings and much love to all the mamas out there. And, if you are without your mother for whatever reason, mine passed away quite a few years ago. So I know what it's like to not have your mom around on Mother's Day. And my heart, for whatever reason, my heart goes out to you, and I send you lots of love. And, make yourself a gluten-free cake and have your cake, and just find a way to make it special for you. All right, so have a fabulous weekend, and I will see you again very soon. Take care, everybody.